We've all seen those movies and TV shows about private eyes and detectives. The Jim Rockfords punching back with their working man stiff quips. What makes them so cool? In this story, we're going to talk with a real-life private investigator to find out if it really is the world's most exciting job. I'm Steve Anderson, and you're listening to Story Flakes.
Hey!
Hey, here you go. Am I on time?
You're on time.
Meet Tom Evans. He's a private investigator.
How you doing, man?
Although
Good.
Mr. Evans is not his real name.
Yeah.
But due to
Down the
privacy
street.
concerns, that's what
So,
he'd like to be called during this
Yeah, we're
interview.
going to do it now.
All right, let's do this. Thanks.
Mr. Evans' firm does 24/7 surveillance, investigation, and protection. This week, I rode along with Tom as he showed me the ins and outs of a stakeout.
I'm not an advertising executive. I'm a PI. And I'll keep it that way.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're in a neighborhood that middle class, working class, professional neighborhood. We'd find, first of all, the address. This house over here to the right.
Uh-huh.
See, I'm going through and I see, not too much, just real quick, see if any movement inside.
Yeah.
And then I go through just as like had looked at a wrong address.
Mr. Evans' head was on a swivel as he scanned the foreground, taking mental notes of things that may have mattered. He was locked in, game on.
But we'll just go by the place again and make sure the car is there. So there's the car with the plate right out in front of the house next to it. So that might tell me that somebody was in front of their house that they do. And,
Yeah, because it was empty in front of the
yeah,
house.
and empty in front of their house. So that just makes me a little curious.
We quickly spun the car around and eased it toward the side of the road. Mr. Evans' body language changed and he sank lower into his seat. Did I just get in over my head? Should I have signed a waiver? Or was there going to be gunplay? I was in the dark and wanted to ask more, but didn't want to come across as a putz, so I left it at that.
You just pull up. Well, you're looking to see if you're going to cause any commotion. And right here we got some bicyclists coming. We nod at them, very friendly.
Yeah.
And I don't have to have the car on, so...
Get a trace on the location of the car, Lenny.
So this is how you do it, huh?
See, I can see that house, and I'm a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses, and you want to get as close as you can to them to get it, and that's when it gets interesting.
We'd parked down the street where we could keep an eye on things and not attract any attention. It looked like a nice house. They kept their lawn mowed. I could see a fence spinning around a deck into the backyard. But the longer we sat, the more self-aware I became that we were two men sitting in a car on a residential street. Then a lady walking her dog kept glancing our way, and I thought, this whole trying not to attract any attention is tougher than you think.
What if somebody notices you sitting out here?
Yeah, well, I would have that.
Just sitting in the car. Does anybody like...
If they do approach you, just say, how you doing? They say, well, you've been here for about 15 or 20 minutes. I go, I know, I'm waiting for a call back from a buddy of mine. So you talk to them, give them the answer that they would like to be satisfied that they're not in danger themselves. And then there are times that, especially in the holler, where you pull up into a neighborhood and everybody's related. And you could be in some deep doo pretty quick because if you blabber your mouth about something and they recognize that you're not supposed to be in that neighborhood,
You ever get run off?
Sure. I had a guy pull a crowbar on me once and, like shots in the air. But I've been in some dangerous situations.
I had to admit, this was getting pretty exciting. Kept expecting Mr. Evans to reach over into his glove compartment and pull out a pint of whiskey and pour it into a styrofoam cup while he rifled around in a crumpled cigarette pack.
Well, know this, that to be a private investigator, you can do a lot of different things. And believe me, if you've sat for 6 hours in the cold or heat and you peed into a gallon milk jug and hope that you didn't get any on your dashboard, let alone your seat, that when that person comes out of their house and you're supposed to follow them and find out what they're doing, and they may get in the car and take you 2 or 3 states away, you better be ready.
What kind of man is Mr. Evans? Well, he's in his late 50s, regular build, pretty nondescript, which I guess would be a good thing for his line of work. He said he got into the PI biz from his previous job as a gonzo journalist, interviewing Bob Marley and Henry Kissinger, to name a few. But now he's content to perform his role of private investigator because he says he likes the freedom and being able to use his skills of digging for the truth, fueled by his natural curiosity. But what else has Mr. Evans traded for this life of a solitary cowboy?
You think that being a PI is a dark profession, and it can be when you're always around bad people. This is what's interesting. A friend of mine came up to me about a year into my job doing surveillance and said, "Tom, you've changed." And I said, "How do you mean?" And she goes, "You just seem more serious now. You used to be happy-go-lucky and sort of a fun guy and smiled a lot, and now you're like, this serious guy, like, always looking over your, not looking over your shoulder." But I said, I get the idea. I said, well, maybe it is because I'm sitting in a car and I do sort of feel a little evil around me.
Two guns, one to stop trouble and one to make trouble.
When you're on a stakeout, you got time to kill. So Mr. Evans and I just sat and talked, but I wasn't hearing what I wanted to hear. Where were the stories of thwarting world domination plots, or of racing through the streets of Monaco with a shapely dame as your co-pilot? So I asked, was there any truth in the portrayal of those characters?
Well, my car goes airborne a lot. What's accurate? Well, we do take certain cues from it, and there are certain things that you learn off TV.
Oh no.
Edit. Where I just act absolutely stupid, and then I'll walk away and I said, I've got one more question.
That's great.
I just
and you
don't
put your
know.
hand up there like that,
and I'll
too?
put my hand up. A lot of it's acting, and really feeling the part. In a sense, you're acting only to elicit different responses. And you know that words are powerful in the way that you inflect them, in the way that you raise your eyebrows or you set your jaw, especially when you're interviewing somebody into another territory, because you're hanging on every word without looking like it.
Yeah.
And I think when you think of what you guys are thinking a lot of is that the swagger of the PI.
Well,
that's really just about the opposite of what you want. You want to go in and be sort of a mellow person.
So there it is. Sometimes the truth is just not that exciting. You got to roll with the reality that being a private investigator is a job just like any other. That requires serious-minded people to perform a much-needed service for a truth-seeking public. But I wasn't quite done and had just one more question to ask. I wanted to know if he'd ever caught the subjects he was investigating, in the act of passion. I tried to be delicate.
What's the longest stakeout you've done?
Oh, well, my company, we do 24/7. So
because you do like 8-hour shifts
on certain cases. But yeah, you'll do like a 10-hour case. If it gets to 8 hours and you see the person come out, then your day just began. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. It does get you a little bit batty.
Do you ever go up and look in the window? And
well, when we went by, we looked in the window real quick.
Yeah.
But
you ever been caught looking in the window?
No.
That'd be embarrassing.
That wouldn't be a good PI.
Well, I wasn't surprised by Tom's handling of the question. I'm Steve Anderson. Thanks for listening.